fellow readers. My name is Violette and welcome to my little corner of booktube. Today I'm going to take part in a tag, the banned books tag, and I was tagged by Isaiah at ThatReadingGuy, so thank you, Isaiah, finally getting around to it. Banned books, banning books, challenge books, seems to have been around is still around in many countries, unfortunately. I don't agree with banning books. Don't agree with destroying books. I believe in freedom of choice, freedom of expression, whether we agree with it or not. But I do think there is such a thing as, especially for children, having adults who are choosing the books or children who are choosing the books aware of some of the possible content so they can make an informed choice for the age group. Or even it could be some children are, of course, more mature at a younger age, emotionally and intellectually. So some might be ready for some of these books at a younger age, and others wouldn't be. So there are 6 prompts, or 5 really, because the last one is about tagging people. So let me start with number 1. Do you intentionally read banned books? Why or why not? I don't intentionally read them. I think I've never actually looked up if a book was banned. I might have just heard of it. But, and then it was only by doing a bit of research for this tag that I discovered, well, actually, I have quite a few previously banned books, not currently banned books. Actually, probably in the US, maybe 1 or 2 of them still are. Or definitely restricted, heavily restricted in school settings. Yeah, I don't think it's, there are so many books out in the world, it's really hard to choose which one to read next as it is, let alone specifically looking for the banned books. Number 2, question 2, tell us about your favorite banned book. I would have to, I took a look through my stacks and I looked at basically for Australia, New Zealand, UK, US and Canada to see what books have been banned over the years, and I pulled the ones I could find off of my shelves. So the ones I have read from my shelves, I might just go through them before I try and choose a favorite one out of these. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. I was really surprised to find that on a list. But I can't recall now if it was actually banned or if it was just challenged or restricted in restricted sale or in school settings. But yeah, it was, when I was a kid, it was, I think I actually listened to the audiobook that was an LP. I think I was listening to an LP of this, and then eventually I was reading it myself. But a lot of the themes in there, they just went over the top of my head when I was young, of course. And it's probably due for a reread to have a different view on it. But yeah, I was very surprised, although I think definitely when I was a teenager, thinking back on it, and when the caterpillar's like smoking the hookah, that was, I can see that's maybe one of the reasons. But other than that, it's a good book. The next one on the list was, that I have, that's also another children's book, is The Giver, which seems to be currently having a bit of contentious time in schools in the US. Not here, at least not that I'm aware of. So I've seen the movie, I've read the book. For this one, I think the book was better, although the movie definitely has some really good points and scenes. But yeah, to do with memory, to do with society, ethics. Should we live in a painless way, but ethically corrupt and underneath a violent way, where everything on the surface is just peachy? and I certainly don't think so. But I think this book is really important for discussion amongst youth and to be used in schools. So banning it, this one is not a good idea because it's great for discussion. People can agree with it, they might have a new idea sparked, but just outright saying, no, you can't read this, say, until, you're 18 and over, would be ridiculous. It really would be. Let me see. I've got Test for the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy was on the list. I've got Lady Chatterley's Lover, which I read when I was a teenager. So imagine it was banned in Australia for, I think, 28 years, something like that. Ridiculous amount of time. I mean, I can see why they might have had a problem with it, but as I said, I don't think it's a fantastic idea to ban books. Just give warnings about it, say what some of the themes might be, and then people can just make up their own minds whether they want to read it or not. Also, in the case of ones that are more for YA novels, that are YA novels, perhaps they could. Here in Australia, I think they call them they're restricted access because they haven't been classified. So if they haven't been classified, oh no, that was two different things. So the real restricted one, because they don't really ban books, but it's effectively a ban. If you can't legally import it, to me, that's a ban. But other ones where they actually literally shrink wrap the book and only over 18s can buy it, that's the restricted access ones. So I think that's not too bad. At least they are still available. And of course, you can always have someone older purchase it for someone slightly younger. Happens all the time. Next book, 1984, George Orwell. I did read this one this year, actually, and I really enjoyed it. It was, of course, quite scary reading through this, and I was making, I think, a few notes in the margins there. Of course, what's happening in the US currently is really scary, to put it mildly. And the parallels between that and this book, yeah, really strong. Next one, I saw the movie, and then many years later, I read the book, The Color Purple by Alice Walker. Fantastic book. Absolutely loved it. The characterization, the history, the emotional impact this book has, and the amount of dialogue that can happen with it. It's really, really strong. And I think everyone should read this at some stage, particularly if you live in the US. Particularly then. Talking another one in the US, which I still believe is a heavily debated book, The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. So this one I did read when I was in high school. Definitely due for a reread, especially considering the world these days and what's happening. Yeah. It's like the classic symbol for banned books. And one actually that is another one that I have read that I haven't actually got a copy of here. I think it's where have I got it? I've got a few books out the back. Not that I'm banning it, but I just physically can't store everything in here. Was Lolita by Nabokov. It was a disturbing read. I enjoyed the language in it, but I did know it was a banned book at one stage in many countries, and I did not like the topic at all. It made me feel very uncomfortable. But it's, I think, just for the impact it's had in the literary world, it was worthwhile reading, but it's not one I would reread. Okay, Now I have another stack here. I might just show it. These are the ones I do have, which I discovered were banned, although Fahrenheit 451 I knew was banned, but the others I didn't. So we've got, oh no, sorry, Ulysses I did know as well. Haven't read it yet. So these are the ones I haven't read. We've got Ulysses by James Joyce, The Decameron by Boccaccio, The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, D.H. Lawrence, The Rainbow, and of course, yeah, Fahrenheit 451, which, as it's a fairly short one, I really should be, I think, read this year and get into it. So I've read, of course, Lady Chatterley's Lover, but I haven't read The Rainbow. So I was surprised to see that two of his D.H. Lawrence's books were banned or had issues with censors. So, oof, I haven't even got up to question 3 yet. Okay, number 3, share a story about book banning. Okay, I do have one story. So I don't know if you've watched my booktube newbie tag, but it's where I mentioned I'm a primary school teacher. And at one stage I was working as the teacher librarian for a few years. And so I'm the one who's ordering books in, and one was a picture book that showcased a more diverse family. So not the usual, the parents, the mother, the father, the child, or the children. So it had 2 mothers. And I thought it was an important addition to the collection on the library and to share with students, because it might actually reflect some of the students' lives and open up a discussion possibly, or at least make it as part of the norm that this is what the world is made up of. These are the people, these are the families. And I was told it was not a good idea to get that. But because it wasn't followed up, I got it anyway. It was just disturbing to have that. It's not a banned or a contested book in Australia. It's not a challenged book. And there was only one higher up level executive that expressed a bit of disturbance at that. But it was only the one, and that one does not represent the entire school or the entire school community. So that's why I got the book. Anyway. Okay, number 4. Which book would you memorize to save it from the censors? A la Fahrenheit 451. That was really, really hard. Off the top of my head, I would, of course, it would be really physically impossible for me to do this, but, all of Shakespeare's works, which I love. But then I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll just keep it to what I have in my list here. And then I thought, well, Thomas Hardy's Test of the D'Urbervilles. It's I love the characters in it, the moral complexity, what else? So Test of the D'Urbervilles. I like that it's sort of the big overarching theme, I think, is human resilience, really. Personal resilience against all the odds, the world that you're thrown into, your experiences that are out of your control, and how you deal with that. But also then the hypocrisy and the double standards in society, particularly back then, but I think even still now. Yeah. So free will versus fate, I think, in a nutshell. And definitely the place of women in society, how they're perceived, what they are at the time of this book, what they were thought to be capable of, their moral standing in society, and ethical morality. I think it's the realism in this book, in all of Thomas Hardy's books that I've read so far. The realism, as well as, and again, if I'm talking about realism, maybe it shouldn't be Tess of the D'Urbervilles. I'm only halfway through the other one, and it's not a banned book. I had to put aside here, but actually, no, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to make it, the one I'm going to memorize is Anna Karenina. So I'm just over halfway. But all the things that I've just said about Tess of the D'Urbervilles applies to this, but Leo Tolstoy's writing, it's exquisite. I wish I could read it in the original Russian, but I don't speak a word of Russian apart from "niet," I believe. I'm not even sure if that means no or nothing. No, I think it means. So this one's translated by Rosamunde Bartlett. So I do have another copy by a different translator. That was my mother's copy. But I thought I'd start with a newer translation, and then eventually, depending if I really liked it, which I do, then I'll try a different translation and see how that is. But the love, the passion, the extreme highs, the extreme lows, whole society, the range of society going from the top echelons right down to the farmers and the laborers, and how they interact as well in Russia back in the day. So, yeah, Russian life in the 1870s. Definitely, and I think a lot of people's favorite character here is Levin, and he's definitely my favorite character. I can't get away from that. But I think it just, yeah, changed my mind. This one, Anna Karenina. Until I read War and Peace, then it might be War and Peace. This is my reading life. It's all over the place. Okay, let me get back to where is my list. Number 5. Are there any books that challenge your opinions on book banning? Be honest, tell us more. As a whole, no, because I still adhere to the fact, or to my belief, that I think there should be freedom of expression. But yes, freedom of expression, freedom to read what you want. But I myself would not necessarily want to read something just because it's highly contentious. So the ones, hang on, let me go up. Where's my list? It's, yeah, The Anarchist Cookbook by William Powell, because it's promoting violence and crime, basically a how-to book to do a whole lot of things that are bad. What's another one? Spycatcher, National Security and Official Secrets. I do have an interest in that, and I have the book. I could not locate it. No idea where it's got to. But Spycatcher by Peter Wright. So it was banned just for a year here, I think, for breach of national security and official secrets, where the government attempted to prevent its publication globally. Yeah. To Kill a Mockingbird. That was a pivotal book for me. It wasn't a prescribed read at school, but I read it around the time when I had to read. Oh, yeah, that was another banned book. What's it called again? One where the boys are set on an island, deserted island, and basically go feral. That was prescribed reading. It was not an enjoyable read, but I can see why we read it, because we had a lot of discussions about that one. It's shocking. It'll come to me eventually when I finish the video. Can't believe it's actually not on these lists. It definitely should have been. Animal Farm, of course. That was the other one. So that was banned in the US, Australia, and the UK. And it was frequently challenged. I'm not talking about actually about banned, but definitely it says frequently challenged since 1945. That was one, I think I read when I was 11 or 12. I found like, oh, it's a nice animal book, but then I got a whole lot of sort of political ideas from that then. And I could see the higher level in it, but it was an enjoyable read, and I loved the anthropomorphism of the animals. Um, yeah, so George Orwell, I've read a few of his and still have to get to more. Yeah, so it's really only um, that one inciting violence and how to make bombs and all that sort of thing. The one that was on euthanasia, and um, I don't think that should be banned. That's right, The Peaceful Pill Handbook by Dr. Philip Nitschke, a voluntary euthanasia guide, which has been repeatedly refused classification in Australia, which means it's not available, in other words, at all. You can import the book as well as the Anarchist book. So those are the top two that are just not available, whereas the other ones are restricted classification. We've got American Psycho as one of them. I think most of the books what I was reading about, they were banned more because of the LGBTQIA plus themes in it, like the one that I experienced that I bought for my library. Yeah, race and social justice themes as well. But I think same-sex parenting and gender identity, I think they're the top tier ones that are being challenged, whether it's for sale for certain age groups in bookshops and most definitely in schools. And that is in Australia, most definitely in the US, UK, New Zealand. Can't get away from it. It's really sad because it's putting to the side a whole everyone's a person. Everyone has their own preferences, their own way of life. Who they are is who they are. And why should that not be acknowledged in our general literature? I just find it utterly disgraceful that these things, these books and topics are being discussed like it's something bad. I am just really disgusted by that. So I hope that societies can quickly get over that issue, because it is not an issue, should not be an issue at all. Okay. Number 6, tag people. I will find some people to tag. It looks like Isaiah's already tagged. And yes, she did it. Pat from Book Chat with Pat, and I watched her video, and absolutely, she is much more eloquent than I am. I hope to eventually get up to even half that level, but I think possibly I might just actually have to write things down. I had little minor points, dot points I put up, but that was kind of it. I need to, yeah, doing this off the top of my head is not working well for me. I think I'm better with a written word. But I thought I'd give it another go today, but it's just not really working for me. So I'll see who else I can tag. But if you haven't been tagged, or if no one's tagged you in this, just consider yourself tagged, or go and check out the original tag by Miss Peepers-Reading-Corner. Well worth your while. I think anyone who creates any kind of tag, everybody who does the tag most definitely has to watch that very first video, as well as finding some others and learning something along the way. I'm not sure if you learned something from me along the way, but hopefully you stuck around, and I really hope to get better at this. Yeah, so thank you for sticking around if you have. If you haven't, I can understand why you didn't. My rambling was all over the place today, probably repeated myself, kept changing my mind. But that's me. Okay, bye for now.